Good stories today. Are we rolling?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have Chov Dalet?
Today's Chav Gimel. Today is Chav Gimel, and we're at the two dots. Ma'aser shesholchi lechoni hama'agel v'chulei. We had seen in the Mishnah the story of Choni hama'agel about the great pious sage who drew a circle around himself and said, "I'm not leaving until you bring rain, Hashem." And the Brisa will give us a little bit more of an elaboration on that story. Tana Rabbanan, Pam echas yatsa rov Adar v'lo yardur geshamim. 1 year, most of Adar had already elapsed and it had not rained at all that entire rainy season. Sholchu lechoni hama'agel hispalel v'yerdu geshamim. Hispalel v'lo yardu geshamim. They sent a message to Choni asking him, please pray for rain. He prayed for rain and nothing happened. And if you recall the story from the Mishnah, he had confidently told everyone, bring in your earthenware ovens from outside because they're going to get damaged, because once I start praying, all bets are off. But unfortunately, his prayers were not answered. So what did he do? Ag uga va'amad b'socha kederach sha'asa Chavakuk hanavi. So he drew a circle around himself and confined himself to it, just as Chavakuk the prophet had done. In other words, he was not the first person to do this. Chavakuk the prophet had done it also in a similar way. We don't know whether he drew a circle, but he definitely did something to confine himself in order to compel God to listen to his prayers. Shenamar, and this is the pasuk in Chavakuk, Al mishmarti emoda ve'esyatzva al matzor, that I will stand in my guard place, and I will stand or remain standing in this confinement. Va'atzapeh liros ma yidaber bi, and I will wait until and see what Hashem will tell me, u'ma ashiv al tochachti, and what I can respond to my rebuke. So you see that Chavakuk also sort of forced Hashem's hand. Amar lefanav ribono shalom banecha samu pneim olai shani keben bayis lefanecha. So Chavakuk turns to Hashem and he says, your children have placed their trust in me, their hopes in me, as I am, after all, like a ben bias by you. I'm one of your members of the household. Nishba ani b'shimcha hagadol she'eni zaz mikan ad she'tirachim al bonecha. I swear by your great name that I will not leave this circle until you have mercy on your children. Hischilu geshamim minatfim. So it began to drizzle. So Amr lo talmid of Rabbi reinucha v'lo namus. They said to his students, Rabbi, we hope to continue seeing you before we die, because we're worried that this rainfall is not going to sustain us. We're going to die from thirst. Because it seems like God only is bringing enough rain to annul your vow, but not enough to really bring blessing to the Jewish people. So Amar Lefanav, so then Choni continued his prayers and said before Hashem, Lo kach sha'alti ela gishmei borashichnu ma'aros. I didn't ask for drizzles. I asked for enough to fill the reservoirs. Yardu bezaf at shekol tipa v'tipa kimlo pi chavis v'shiru chachamim she'ein tipa pechusa milog. So then it began to rain quite heavily, with each raindrop being as large as the cover of a barrel. And the rabbis estimated that each raindrop was the volume of a log, which is maybe like a third of a liter, something like that. It's a considerable amount. So Amrulo Talmid of Rabbi Reinucha v'lo namus kimedumen anu shein geshamim yardim elo la'abed ha'olam. Rabbi, they said, his students, we hope that we don't die and we can continue seeing you, but it looks like this rain is going to destroy the world. Amr lefanav lo kach sha'alti ela gishmei ratzon u'bracha u'nedava. So once again, Choni turns to Hashem and he says, I didn't ask for this, I asked for rain of desire, blessing, and gift. Yardu kitiknan shalu kol ha'am lahar habayis mipnei hagasham. So it started to rain normally, but it rained for such a long time that it began to flood the lower parts of Jerusalem, and people had to go to the higher places. So Amrullah Rebbe kishem shi'ispalalta sheyerdu kach yispalal v'yelchu lahem. So they said to Choni, just like you daven that the rain should fall, please daven that it should stop. Amr lahem kach mekublani shein mispalal al rov hatova. I have a tradition that you don't daven to Hashem to stop an overabundant blessing. Afal pichein, but nevertheless, I'll do a little bit. Haviu li par hoda, bring me a bull of thanksgiving. In other words, I want to bring a korban of thanksgiving to Hashem for the rain, and while I'm bringing the bull of thanksgiving, I'll put in a little word that maybe Hashem should stop. So Haviulo Parhoda, Samach Shtei Yadav Alav. So he placed his two hands on the bull, and then the practice is that you place your hands on the bull that you're offering, and you say some words of prayer. Va'amar lefanav Ribono Shel Olam, Amcha Yisrael Shehotzeisam Mitzrayim, Einon Yecholin Lamod Lo Barov Tova V'Lo Barov Puranos. That the Jewish people that you took out of Egypt, they're so fragile, they cannot endure neither with too much suffering or too much goodness. When you become angry with them, they cannot endure. When you give them too much blessing, they also cannot endure. May it be your will, Hashem, that the rain stop and that there be expansiveness in the world. There be a lot of blessing in the world. That immediately the wind blew, and the clouds scattered, and the sun shone, and everyone went out into the fields. Everything was beautiful, and butterflies everywhere. Everything was glorious. Ve'eviu lahen kemeinu pitrios, and miraculously, not miraculously, but obviously you can't expect grain to start growing. The thing that grows most rapidly are mushrooms and truffles. So that's what they were able to live off of until the actual grains began to grow. So Shalach lo Shimon ben Shetach ilmoli choni ato gozreni alecha nidoy. So in the aftermath of this whole story, Shimon ben Shetach sends a story to Choni, and he says, listen, if it weren't for the fact that you were such a great tzaddik as being Choni, I would place you under a ban. She'ilu shanim kishnei Eliyahu. Shemaftechos geshamim biyado shel Eliyahu lo nimtza shem shamayim ischalal al yadcha. He says, because even if we were living in a time of such drought, like the times of Eliyahu Navi, who had decreed that there would be no rain at all. He took a vow that there would be no rain. He says, still, if you had prayed in the way that you prayed just now, there would be a chilul Hashem, because you're forcing God's hand. You're sort of being like an abusive child to God, and it's causing God's name to be profane, because the people see that you can manipulate God if you're righteous enough. But what can I do? You are naughty before your Father in heaven, but God still does your will, just like a son is naughty to his father, and he's spoiled, and the father continues to spoil him. Like a child who says to his father, Daddy, carry me to the bathhouse and give me a bath. Daddy, rinse me off with nice cool water. Daddy, give me nuts and almonds and peaches and pomegranates and all these types of sweets. Right? The kid says, I want candy. So v'noseinlo, and the father gives it to him. The father doesn't hold back. And about you it says that the father and mother will rejoice, and those who give birth to you will be filled with happiness. So the bottom line is that there are times when it's appropriate to spoil your kid, right? Obviously it's not appropriate in most situations, but the Gemara says that sometimes Hashem will spoil us, and that Hashem gets nachas just like any parent.
Out of love.
Out of love. Tanu Rabbana. Ma shalchu b'nei lishkas hagazis l'choni hama'agel. What message did the members of the Sanhedrin send to Choni after this whole story? They quoted a series of psukim in Iyov. The first pasuk says, "V'sigzar omer v'yakam lach ve'al derachecha naga or," that you made a decree and it came true for you, and through your pathway the light has shone. So what does this pasuk mean? Vatigzar omer ata gozer milamata v'kadosh baruch hu mekayim ma'amarecha milamala. You make a decree down here, and Hashem fulfills your will up above. And through your pathways the light has shone. The generation that was dark in despair, you illuminated them through your prayers. Next pasuk, Ki hishpilu vatomer geva b'shachinayim yoshia, that they became lowly, and you said geva, lift up. What is that? What do those words mean? Dor shahaya shafel hikbahato b'tfilasecha. The generation that was lowly, you lifted it up through your prayers. And what does the last part of the pasuk say? V'shachinayim yoshia, that he who is of dark eyes shall be saved. Dor sheshach ba'avono the generation that was hunched over in its sins, Hoshato b'tfilosecha, you've saved it through your prayers. Next pasuk, Yimaleit inaki v'nimlat bevor kapecha. What do those words mean? That he will save that he who is unclean. Dor shelo hayanaki maltasu b'tfilosecha, the generation that was unclean, meaning that we didn't have enough merit to save ourselves, you saved with your prayers. V'nimlat bevor kapecha, and you have saved them with the pureness of your palms. Maltaso b'masi yodecha haberurin. You've saved them with your handiwork that is clear. In other words, clarified, because you are so clear and so precise. You've been able to save the Jewish people. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Kol Yamav Shelo Tzaddik Hayim Mitzdar Al Mikrazeh. We continue the story of Choni HaMa'agel, but now we're changing the story. There's something else that remarkable that happened in Choni's life later on in his life, because his whole life he had been disturbed by the following passage. It says, Shir Hamalos B'shuv Hashem Es Shivas Tzion Hayinu Kecholmim, that a song of ascents, when God returns the remnant of Zion, we will be like dreamers, or the captives of Zion. So he said to himself that David is prophesying about the captivity after the Churban Bayis Rishon, after the destruction of the first temple. How long was the captivity of the first, after the Churban Bayis Rishon? It was 70 years. So he's bothered like this. He says, Omar mi ika dinayim shivin shnin bechelma. How could it be that you could say that those 70 years should be like a dream? How can a person dream for 70 years? So Yom Echad hava azl be'urcha chazya lahu gavra dahavanota charuva. One day he's walking down the road and he sees a man planting a carob tree, a little sapling. So Amar lei hai ad kama shnin toyin. So he said to him, excuse me, sir, how long will it take for this tree to bear fruit? Amar lei ad shivin shnin. He said it could take up to 70 years for this tree to mature and bear fruit. So Amar lei pshita la dechaya shivin shnin. So is it so clear to you that you're going to live 70 years to see the fruit? So Amar lei hai gavra alma bicharuva ashkachte ki heicha deshasli li avasi shasli nami levaroi. He says, listen, I don't know how to answer your question. All I can tell you is that when I came into this world was filled with carob trees. So someone must have planted it for me. Just like my ancestors planted carob trees for me without them benefiting from it, I'll do the same for my children and grandchildren. So Yosef kakarech rifta. So Choni sits down to break bread. So Asa le shinsa, and all of a sudden he's overcome by this overpowering sleep. Nim ahadrele mishunisa ichsi me'ena v'nim shivin shnin. So miraculously, as he's sleeping, Hashem causes solid rock formation to form all around him, to act as a protective barrier, and also that no one would discover him. And he ends up sleeping. He ends up sleeping for 70 years. Go ahead.
Rip Van Winkle.
Yeah, Rip Van Winkle.
Of course.
They get it from us.
Although,
But he was 20 years.
Rip Van Winkle was 19th century. This is
Right. They get it from us.
this is 3rd century or 4th century. Okay. Kikam chazi lehu gavra dehava kamalaket minayhu. So he wakes up and he sees that there's a man who's pulling carob off of that little sapling that had previously been a sapling, is now a mature tree. So Amar lei atu deshatalte. He says, excuse me, are you the guy that planted this tree? Amar lei, no, bar bereyan, I'm his grandson. Amar lei shma mina denaimi shivin shnin. So he says, it must be that I dreamt for 70 years. Now, this Gemara has so much depth to it. First of all, Choni is a tzaddik. What, he's going to be disturbed his whole life over taking a verse literally that we would like dreamers? Come on. So what does this all mean? We have to try and understand there's a much deeper meaning. And also try and understand, try to make a connection to yourselves. What does this have to do with Choni the circle maker? What is the connection between the circle maker story and this story? I'm not going to answer these questions, but these are questions that you need to be asking when you study Gemaras like this. So Chazel Chamre di Isyalida le Ramachi Ramachi. And he also noticed that the donkey that he had left by his side 70 years ago had given birth to litters upon litters of baby donkeys. Azal lebese, Amar lahu berei dechoni ha'ma'agel mikayim. He goes to the home where he had left, and he says, excuse me, is this the Choni residence? They said, well, this is the Choni family. He says, is the son of Choni alive? He says, Amrulei berei lesa bar berei isa. They said, no, he passed away, but his Choni's grandson is alive. So Amar lahu ana Choni ha'ma'agel lohim nuhu. He says, I'm Choni. They didn't believe him. So Azul Beis HaMedrash, Aminu l'Rabbanan de Ka'amri Nehiran Shmaitzin ke B'shnei Choni HaMa'agel Di Hava'ayil Beis Medrash Kol Kushi Dahavul l'Rabbanan Hava Mefarek Lahu. So he goes to the Beis Medrash and he hears the rabbis sitting very pleased with themselves that particular day, and they said, Amachaya, the learning today is so clear, it's as clear as if Choni HaMa'agel was in the Beis Medrash with us. Because back in the day when Choni was around, any question that we had, he could answer. So Amar Lahu, Ana Nihu. So he says, hey, it's me. Lo himnuhu v'lo avdi le'yikar kidem eboyla. So they didn't believe him, and they didn't show him the proper kavod that he would normally be accorded. So cholash daite. So after going to his house and no one believing him, going to the Beis Medrash and no one believing him, he had what's called a chalisha sadas. He fell into a tremendous despondency, and boy rachami umis, and he davened and he died. So Amar Rav Haino da Amri Inshi o chavrusa o misusa. That's why people say, give me a chavrusa or give me death. It's July 4th today, so we can invoke the memory of Patrick Henry as well. Right? Give me a chavrusa or give me death. So Abachilkia barbarei dechoni hama'agel hava. So now let's continue. Let's continue along the family line of Choni HaMa'agel. Who was his grandson? Who was his son's son? His name was a man named, his name was Abachilkia. So v'chimitzrich al malamitra ha'b'meshadri rabbanon legabe u'boi rachami v'asi mitra. Whenever the rabbis, there was a drought and they needed rain, they figured Abachilkia, grandson of Choni HaMa'agel, he must have the same magic. So they would send a delegation to him, he would daven, and rain would fall. Zimnachad istrich al malamitra shadar rabbanon zuga de rabbanon legabe lemiboy rachame dinesi mitra. So this happened. They needed rain. They sent a pair of Talmidei Chachamim to go to visit Abachilkia to ask him to pray. So Azul Beise v'lo Ashkechua. They went to his house, couldn't find him. Azul B'davra v'Ashkechua to have a Korobkin. So they go out to the field, and they notice that he's hoeing out in the field.
Would this be after they've all prayed and nothing's happened, or they were relying on him?
No, presumably so. Presumably they've had these Taanis, they've had these fasts, and nothing's helping. So let's go out to Abachilkia. I'm not sure if it's the last resort, but it certainly stands to reason that they were doing their own ishtadlus also.
Right, you would think.
You would think. So Yavu le Shalma, below Aspilu Ape. So they say Shalom Alecha Rebbe, and he totally ignores them, doesn't even turn his face to them. Just continues on his work. Bepanya ki have menake tzvi dara tzvi umara bechad kaspa uglima bechad kaspa. So in the evening, when it was time for him to go home, he picked up the wood that he had been hewing, together with his shovel or whatever other tools, and he put them on one shoulder, and the shoulder was bare. He took the shirt that he was wearing, took it off, and put it over the other shoulder. So this is abnormal, because normally when you are wearing something, it helps to protect your skin from anything abrasive, but instead of allowing his thing to rest on his shirt, he takes off the shirt and puts it on his bare shoulder. So kula urcha lo siye misane ki matulamayim maya sayim misane. Also, the whole way he's walking barefoot, but when he gets to a body of water where you and I would normally take off our shoes, he puts on his shoes and walks in the water. And when he got to a bed of thorns, where you and I would normally put on our shoes and try to put on some pants to protect ourselves from the thorns, he lifted up the hem of his garment and allowed the thorns to bristle against his bare flesh. He gets to the outskirts of where his home is, and his wife sees him, comes out to greet him, beautifully adorned. She looks like she's ready to go to a chasana. So as they're walking towards the house, he makes sure that his wife walks in front, he walks behind her, and he makes sure that they walk behind him. So he sits down to break bread, and they're sitting down, but he ignores them, doesn't even offer them any portion, doesn't offer them to break bread with him. Then he breaks bread and he gives a portion to his two kids that are sitting at the table. To the older child he gives one portion, and to the younger child he gives two portions. Also very bizarre, because normally you give the older child a larger amount. Amar la ledvisu yadana de rabbanan mishomitra ka'asu Nesek leigra v'niboy rachami efshir demiratzi hakadosh baruch hu v'yesei mitra V'lo nachzik tivusa lenafshin. So he turns to his wife, ignoring the rabbis, and we're not sure whether he was whispering this to her so that they shouldn't hear. But basically, he says to his wife, he says, look, I know that the reason why they've come because they think that we can bring rain. You know what, let's go up to the rooftop, we'll daven to Hashem, maybe Hashem will hear our prayers, and it'll rain. But let's not take the credit for it. It's not for us to take credit for it. Let's just do it privately without making any big noise about it. Saku le'igra kam ihu b'chadas visa v'i b'chadas visa kadim saluk anane mehachs visa de devisu. So they both go up to the rooftop, he and his wife. She stands in one corner of the rooftop, he stands in the other corner, and the rain clouds start forming by her corner and not by his corner, and then it starts raining.
It's not that the Rivke and...
Well, just the opposite. By Rivke and Yitzchak, Hashem answers Yitzchak, but here, Mrs. Abba Chilkiah is answered. Kinachis amar lahu amai asu rabbanan. So when he comes down, he starts to engage them in conversation. He says, "So, gentlemen, why have you come?" So Amrulei Shadri Lon Rabbanan Lagabi Demar Lemiboy Rachame Amitra. They said because the rabbi sent us because we need prayers for rain. Amr lahu Baruch Hamakam Shlehitzrich Eschem LaAbba Chilkiah. Baruch Hashem, it rained before you needed to ask me. In other words, he's trying to put on this pretense that it's not because of my prayers that it rained, but rather, thank God you came for nothing, it's already rained. So Amrulei Yadinan Dimitra Machmasmar Hudas. So they said, come on, you can't pull the wool over our eyes. We know that it rained because of your prayers. But we have a few questions for you. This whole day we've been following you, and we've seen some bizarre things that we'd like you to explain. My time, why is it that when we said Shalom Alecha Rabbi to you, you didn't even turn around to acknowledge us? He says, because you know what? I was a day laborer. I'm an employee. I'm working for someone. What right do I have to take time out of my work to say Shalom Aleichem to you? Right? That's not right. I'm cheating my employer. So therefore, I had no right to do that, and I kept on working. Which is like, would have taken him a half a second, right? But you see, he's an ethical man, and that for ethical people, nisim like this can happen. All right, what was this whole thing about where you put the wood and the shovel on one side of your body, on your bare shoulder, and you wouldn't let it rest on a shirt? So he says, because this was a borrowed garment. He was obviously a very poor man. I borrowed this garment from a friend, and he only gave me permission to wear it. He didn't give me permission to use it to bear the load of something that would be abrasive and perhaps damage the garment. Why is it that the whole journey back you were walked barefoot, but when you got to water you put on your shoes? Very simple, very logical. This is where I know I can watch where I'm going when I'm on dry land. So I can know to avoid walking onto something that's harmful. But when you walk into water, who knows what's underwater? You could have sea serpents, you could have fish that bite, sharks, who knows? Right? Right? Whatever you could have. You can't see what's in the water. So that's why I put on my shoes to protect my feet. Why is it, they said, that when you got to the thorn bed, instead of letting the garments protect your flesh, you allowed the thorns to dig into your flesh by lifting up your garments? So Amr Lahu, very simple. Flesh can heal, but garments don't heal. If you tear the garment, that's it. You got to get a new one. I can't go to Walmart, right? There was no Walmarts back in those days. He had no money. So therefore he figured he let his flesh become torn instead of the garments. My time akimata mar lamasa nafka devisu demar kimikshata. Why was your wife so beautifully bedecked when she came out to greet you? So Amar lahu kiddushalo etein einai beisha acheres, because my wife is a good wife. She doesn't want me to look at other women. So instead of when I come home from work, sometimes the wife is in her house coat with cold cream on her face, like the old image, right? The curlers in her hair, right? He says, my wife is a good wife. She comes out and she looks beautiful because she knows that I'm a human being, right? So just because I'm a rabbi doesn't mean I don't have a yetzer hara. So she doesn't want me to look and think about other women. So my time, ailahi bereisha v'hadar ail mar abasra. So why did you organize our journey back to your house that she would walk in front and then you would walk behind her and we would walk behind you? Amar lahu mishum delo bad kisuli. Because I didn't know you from Adam. Who knows whether you guys were honest, ethical men who were going to behave themselves. I didn't want you to look at my wife. So my time kikarach mariftalo amarlan aisu kruchu. Why then, when you sat down to break bread, why didn't you offer us? Mishum delo nafisha rifta v'amina lo ichzik b'hu rabbanan tivusa b'chinam. He says, because the truth is, I didn't have the bread to feed you. And to be polite and to offer you something that I knew that you would decline, that would be deceptive, because then you would think that I was offering to give you something that I had no intention of giving you, and you would feel indebted to me. I didn't want to do that. That's not honest. So I figured it would be more honest to not offer you, because I didn't have. Unbelievable. My time a yoiv mar liyunuka kishisha chada rifto lazutra trey. Why is it that you gave your younger child twice as much as your older child? That would normally think it would be the opposite. Amar lahu hay koi bevesa v'hay yosef bevei kinishta. The answer is because my younger child has all of his meals here because he's at home. So I got to feed him all his meals. My older child spends most of his time in the yeshiva where they feed him. So therefore I didn't need to feed him as much. Okay. My time akadim suluk anani mehachzvisa dahavis kaima devisu demar la anana didei. So why is it that the clouds started forming over the corner where your wife was before the clouds came to you? In other words, what?
Did they see that?
They saw that. They must have gone outside and watched what was going on. So mishum de itza shchicha bevesa v'yahav arifta la'aniyeh u'mekarva haniyasa. Rashi learns that it's really two answers. He says because number one, the wife is at home more, so she interacts more with the poor. I'm in the base medrash all day, I don't interact with the poor. So she has more opportunities to give them. And furthermore, when she gives them ready to eat food. I can only give them coins. So obviously what she gives them is of greater value because they can eat it right away, whereas what I give them, they have to go and buy stuff. Inami. Alternatively, I'll give you another reason why my wife's zechuyos are greater. Anahu biryune dahavi b'shuvavusan anaboy rachami dilimuso v'hi bay rachami dilihadru b'tiyufta va'ahadru. There were once a couple of rough guys in our neighborhood, really rough ruffians and brutes, and I couldn't stand them. I davened to Hashem that they should die. My wife davened that they should do tshuva, and so it was that they did tshuva. This is reminiscent of the story of Rabbi Meir in Bruria. The very same thing happened in the Gemara in Brachas. So, and we know that I believe that Bruria was Choni's either daughter or granddaughter. I don't remember offhand. No, I'm thinking of Rabbi Chanina ben Trajan. Bruria was his daughter. But in any event, there's obviously some connection over here.
Clearly, you can't get into it, but it's also odd that he would pray for someone to die.
Well, we had the same thing by Rabbi Meir, because Yitamu Chatoim min haaretz, that he thought it meant that sinners should be lost from the world. Why should we have to suffer in the face of sinners? And so his thinking was, get rid of them, Hashem. They don't deserve to live. Chanon hanechba barbarati dechoni hama'agel hava ki mitzrich hamala mitra hava mishadri rabbanon yenuki devei rav legabe. So now we look at another grandson of Choni. This is his daughter's son. And when there was a drought, the rabbi sent children that were learning in Cheder to visit this Chanan HaNechba, v'naktilei b'shipulei glime, and they would grab hold of the hem of his garment, v'amrulei Abba Abba havlan mitron. They said, Daddy, Daddy, give us rain. In other words, this was a way of invoking his mercy. So Amar Lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu Ribono Shel Olam Aseh Bishvil Elu She'ein Makirin Bein Abba D'Yoiv Mitra LaAbba D'Lo Yoiv Mitra. So out of his humility, he turns to Hashem and he says, Ribono Shel Olam, in the zechus of these children, you have to bring rain, because they're so innocent, they don't even know the difference between a father who brings rain to a father who can't bring rain. Va'amai Kori Lechanan HaNechba, why was he called Chanan the Hidden? Because he used to hide himself in the bathroom, in the washroom. Rashi explains that some people don't have the words in the washroom. It just means that he used to hide himself. He used to hide out of modesty. Just he didn't want to take any greatness. He felt, I'm not worthy. The other explanation is, if you learn in Beveis Akise, is that he used to be very modest in his act, in his behavior in the restroom, that he would never expose himself fully. Amar le Rebbe Zereka le Rav Safra tochazi ma bein takifei dara di Yisrael lechasidei de Bavel. Take a look, Nebuch, at the difference in quality between the great ones of Eretz Yisrael and even the pious ones of Bavel. Chasidei de Bavel, Rav Huna v'Rav Chizda. Of a later generation, the pious ones of Bavel are Rav Huna and Rav Chizda. But ki have a mitzvah chalma lemitra amri nechnaf hadadi v'niboy rachami efshur dimiratzi akadosh baruch hu diyesei mitra. They would gather together. They felt that their individual zechus was not sufficient, so they had to gather together to pray. And anytime you gather together to pray, it becomes a public spectacle. So that's why it's of a lesser quality, because something that's done with great privacy and tznius is of a higher quality, right? But he says, and that's why but they would gather to pray so that Hashem should bring rain. But takifi da'ara d'Yisrael could go on Rabbi Yonah. Avua de Rebbe Mani ki have a mitzvah chalma lemitra have a ayil lebeise. But the great ones of Eretz Yisrael, such as Rebbe Yonah, who was the father of Rebbe Mani, we're going to learn about him in just a moment. When the world needed rain, he would go into his house and do things very, very hush hush. Va'amar lahu havuli gualki ve'ezel va'aiseli bezuza ibura. He said, do me a favor, give me some sackcloth. I need to go out to the marketplace and see if I can purchase some grain. Now, this was during a time of great drought. And I'm going to buy a zuz worth of grain. And he have enoughik libra, and I guess maybe he thought, maybe I'll sell the sackcloth, I'll get a few coins for it, and I'll buy him food with it. So ki have enoughik libra, azul v'koi beduchta amikta, dichsiv mi mamakim karasicha Hashem. So when he went out, instead of going to the marketplace, what he did was he went to a place that was indented into the earth, a recess in the earth, because it says, from the depths I call out to you, Hashem. V'koi beduchta tznina, umachsi besaka, uboy rachami ve'asi mitra. And then he would adorn himself in the sackcloth as a way of mourning and beseeching Hashem. And then he would pray, and then immediately rain would fall. But he did this all on the hush-hush. No one knew about it. Ki hava asi lebeise, amrulei aisi mar ibura. So when he came home, the family asked him, okay, so where's the grain that you said you were going to buy? Amr lahu amina holva asamitra hashta ravach alma. He says, you know what? I decided when I left, it started to rain. So by the time I got to the shuk, it was raining. I said to myself, you know what? Grain prices will go down because now there's going to be a lot more plentiful grain. Let's wait another couple of days until the prices go down, and then we'll get much more for our money. V'su Rebbe Mani berei havakumetzari le devei nesia. Here's another story about the amazing Balmoifes Rebbe Yonah. Rebbe Mani, his son, was once being accosted or molested by the people of the BAYT Nesia. Now, the people of the BAYT Nesia was the official rabbinical body of the time, and perhaps they were being overly zealous, and maybe they, Rebbe Mani was, he was a rabbi too, but maybe he didn't go along with the rank and file of the official rabbinate. So they didn't like him, and they were bothering him. They were hocking him. So ishtatach al kivra de avua. So he went ahead to his father's grave and he started to pray. Amr le Abba Abba hani mitzaruli. He says, Daddy, Daddy, they're bothering me. So Yom Echad Havakachalfi Hasam Inkot Kara Desus Vasaihu ad Dekabilo Alai Deloka Mitzarile. So one day, some members of the official rabbinate, the BAYT Nesia, are riding on their horses past this Rebbe Yonah's grave, and all of a sudden, Rebbe Yonah, I don't know how it happened, but he grabs the legs of the horses, forcing them to stop in their tracks, and refuses to let them go until these rabbis would promise not to bother his son Rebbe Mani anymore. It's not clear how he was able to do this, whether it was physical, whether it was metaphysical, we're not sure. So Visu Rebbe Mani have a shchiach kamei Rabbi Yitzchak ben Eliashiv. So here's another story about Rebbe Mani with another Balmoifes whose name was Rebbe Yitzchak ben Eliashiv. Now it's not clear which one is doing the nace and which one is the one who's talking, but you'll see in just a second.
What is that word, Balmoifes?
A Balmoifes is a person who can do wondrous acts because he's a big tzaddik. So Amr le atiri de beichami kametzaruli. So he says, you know what? My in-laws who are wealthy, they're bothering me. You know what? They're hocking me because get a job. You're schlepper. You never do well, right? So they're bothering me. I'm not providing for their sister like I should. So Amar li'anu. So the other one said, okay, I hereby decree that they should become poor. And lo and behold, v'iyanu. So they became poor and they humbled themselves and they stopped bothering him. Amar kadachkuli. So then Rabbi, I'll learn it, that is Rabbi Yitzchak comes back to Rabbi Mani and he says, kadachkuli. So actually, they do it the reverse.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you. So it's probably Reb Mani had a lot of Zechus. You see, Reb Mani was the type of person that even though himself was not a Bal Moifes, but Hashem loved him so much that whoever he asked to pray for him, their prayers would get answered. That seems to be the way it works. So Rabbi Yitzchak, so Reb Mani turns back to Rabbi Yitzchak and says, now that they're poor, they keep asking me to borrow money. So Amar liatru v'yatru. So Rabbi Yitzchak said, okay. So then I hereby decree that they should get wealthy, and lo and behold, they became wealthy again. Amar lo mikabli alai inshi basi. Then another time, Reb Mani and Reb Yitzchak are speaking, and Reb Mani says, you know what? My wife's not so attractive to me anymore. So Amar le mashama chana tisyafi chana v'nisyafes. So Reb Yitzchak says, what's her name? He says, my wife's name is Chana. So he says, okay, I hereby give a bracha that Chana should become beautiful. And lo and behold, it turned, next morning he wakes up, there's this beautiful lady next to him. So Amar le megandari alai. So later on, he comes and complains to Rabbi Yitzchak, and he says, now my wife is being so haughty because of her good looks, and she's lording over me and henpecking me. So Amar le ihachi tachzer chana l'shach ruvisa v'chazra chana l'shach ruvisa. He says, if so, let Chana go back to her ugliness, to her darkness, right? And that's and her plainness. And so it was. So the moral of the story is count your blessings, whatever your wife looks like. Okay, but anyway, every wife is beautiful, as we know. What? Be careful what you wish for. Hanahu trei talmidei dahabu kamei de Rabbi Yitzchak ben Eliashiv. There were another time two students came before Rabbi Yitzchak, the same Rabbi Yitzchak ben Eliashiv, who gave the brachas to Rabbi Mani, and every time he gave him a bracha, the words came true. So Amru leini boy marachmi alan denichkam tuva. So they said to him, please daven for us that we should become great talmidei chachamim. Amr lahu imi haisa ushalachtiha. So Rabbi Yitzchak said to them, I used to have the gift, but I sent it away. In other words, my prayers are not heeded anymore in the way that they used to be. So the way that I'm interpreting the story, I could be wrong, is that originally, it was in the Zechus of Rabbi Mani that Rabbi Yitzchak ben Eliashiv's prayers were always answered. But it's not that whoever he prayed for got what they wanted. It was because it was Rabbi Mani who had the Zechus of his father Rabbi Yonah, plus the Zechus of the prayers of Rabbi Yitzchak combined. That's why he became a Bal Moifes. In other words, just because you're a great Rebbe, it doesn't mean that automatically whatever he says will come true. It has to be that the recipient has to be worthy of it as well.
Rabbi, could I say something?
Please.
When you said about Moifes, so one Jew said, my Rebbe, Kenish Kenois. You know what I said now?
Yeah.
Kenish Kenois. Ois is also Moifes. Ot. Aleph, Vov, Tov.
Yes.
So he said, my Rebbe, Kenish Kenois. This indication that he doesn't know nothing.
Oh. Kenish Kenois.
Kenish Kenois, but I cannot machen Moifes. You see, Kenish Kenois.
But he can mach a Moifes, yeah.
Because when you said about Moifes, so a Rebbe can learn about Moifes, but I cannot vielleicht nicht Kenois.
Yeah. Right. Well, you know that famous joke about the three Hasidim. We're talking about what a big Bal Moifes the Rebbe is.
Yeah.
So the first one says, one time we were walking and there was a big puddle, and the Rebbe said,